Good morning, and welcome to my channel, What You Should Know from Your Local ER Nurse. Today, we are going to talk about a common myth about sexually transmitted infections, or STIs. There is a myth out there that if you don't have symptoms, you don't have a STI. Well, as an ER nurse, I'm here to tell you that's wrong. According to the World Health Organization, or the WHO, more than 1 million curable sexually transmitted infections, or STIs, are acquired every day worldwide in people 15 to 49, and a majority of them are asymptomatic. The WHO also tells us that there are more than 30 bacterial, viruses, parasites that are known to be transmitted through sexual contact. But there are 8 that are linked to the greatest incident of STIs, 4 of which are curable, and then there are 4 that are viruses that are not. An incubation period is the time between when you have the exposure to the bacteria or virus and when your symptoms first appear. You'll see on the next slide the difference in the incubation periods. Verywell Health has a great table that you're able to see the difference in the incubation periods between the different STIs. Some show signs as little as 2 days, others not for months, sometimes 90 days or longer. So what do you think about that? As an ER nurse, I educate my patients daily on all kinds of things. When I saw this myth, I felt that it was important to show you how wrong it is and why. In today's world, people get information from Google and the web all the time. I hear from my patients, I Googled my symptoms. I tell my patients, don't do that. Sometimes when you Google symptoms, you may not get accurate information because you might get the information from a source that's not reliable. The average person is not always looking to see where that information came from. STIs often carry a stigma. People feel ashamed or reluctant to talk about them. I had a male patient once told me he was in the ER for something totally different because he was embarrassed about being there for an STI. Some cultures and religions aren't as open and don't have honest conversations about sex and sexuality. The Committee on Prevention and Control of Sexually Transmitted Infections in the United States says society holds negative views on sexuality, particularly outside of monogamous or heterosexual relationships. These cultures could be causing fear of contracting an STD, or a fear of being judged or rejected by others in their culture or their religious affiliations. Some might be afraid of what they learn. If sex and sexuality in general are not being talked about, then STIs and symptoms are definitely not being talked about. This means people are just not educated. I think the biggest reason for this myth is people not being well educated. It's a lack of knowledge. With the incubation period being so long from the time of exposure for some STIs, people might not think that they have one. Say you had unprotected sex and you didn't have any symptoms for a week or 2, or sometimes even longer, months. You may think you're okay and that you don't need to be checked. In other words, if you can't see something, it isn't real. That may not be the case. Being asymptomatic just means that you might not be seeing symptoms on the outside of your body, but this could be causing damage on the inside of your body. This myth could be causing people not to seek treatment, causing further complications. Like the CDC says, it could be causing cancer, infertility, pregnancy complications, liver failure, and the list goes on. The CDC says all sexually active women younger than 25 should be tested for gonorrhea and chlamydia every year. The timing of the testing depends on which STI you were possibly exposed to. Some can give accurate answers within weeks. Others, they take months. Verywell Health explains the time between the first infection and when the test can be reliably detected that the infection is known as a window period. Testing prematurely with the window period can increase the risk of false negative results. This means you may have been infected even though the test says that you're not. On the next page, you will see a screening table that shows the window period for STIs. As you can see, even if you are asymptomatic and have been exposed to an STI, you could be infected and start exposing other people. According to the CDC, in 2023, over 2.4 million cases of syphilis, gonorrhea, and chlamydia were diagnosed and reported. And almost half, 48.2% of reported cases of that chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis were among adolescents and young adults, ages 15 to 24. With so many people being infected and passing on STDs, it's so important to get tested often and use protection. You might be asymptomatic and have an active infection, which you could be passing on to other people. So from your local ER nurse, stay safe out there.